FDI inflows in the Central and East European region declined by about 25% in 2017. This was quite a surprise because the economic growth was quite buoyant in this time. But if you look at a longer perspective, it was actually 2016 which was an outlier, and the FDI inflow just returned in the trend of the 2011-2015 period. Now the novelty was that there were increasing disinvestments, meaning asset sales to domestic investors, which diminished the amount of FDI inflow. For example, UniCredit sold its bank in Poland to PKO Bank and another state-owned organization. This was, of course, a disinvestment in the interest of both parties. The Italian bank wanted to have cash, and the Polish government was eager to grab domestic control over the financial sector. By a similar policy, the Hungarian government was also active in acquisitions of foreign subsidiaries in energy, telecom and banking sector. Also in the Czech Republic, although it was not the state, but the domestic investors who took over foreign assets in media and telecommunications. The Central European and West Balkan region look forward to rising FDI inflows in 2018 thanks to positive rates of economic growth and unexpectedly good interest of greenfield investors. But there are important limitations to this, however. The scope of foreign takeovers is limited in host economies where foreign assets and foreign affiliates already produce 40–50% of the business sector GDP. This is the case in Hungary, in Slovakia, Romania, Czech Republic. In addition, investors get government support only if they invest in export-oriented and technologically high-standard sectors. The rest of the economy is mostly in the interest of domestic investors, which get increasing government support. Then there is a labor shortage in Central Europe, which is an obstacle to new investments. So this strained labor market situation may hinder further investments unless investors consider new options, such as automation or moving further east. Now, digitalization, Industry 4.0 are expected to reduce the load of labor cost in splitting and locating the value chain, but only in the long run. Right now, it is more kind of movement that is feasible. But moving capital to Ukraine, which is the largest country in the east, is hindered by bad infrastructure and high investment risk. So for the time being, it is more likely that the Ukrainian labor force moves to the west. In addition, the Western Balkans can provide alternative locations offering an underutilized labor pool. Furthermore, in Russia, where investments also declined, here the sanctions on the Russian oligarchs hit hard, triggering declines in both inward and outward Russian FDI. But this is mainly confined to the relations with the US and Europe. There are Asian investors, first of all China, that are more and more taking the role of major investors in this country. Austria remains the third most important immediate investor in the Central European new EU members and also the Western Balkans. But the stock of Austrian FDI is falling. This is, for example, the result of banking restructuring like of the UniCredit Bank. But while the amount of Austrian FDI diminishes, there is a growing or at least stable net inflow of earnings from these countries. So Austrian companies earn about 1% of Austrian GDP under FDI in the region. Now, if we compare with this amount with the Austrian contribution to the EU budget, which is 0.5% of Austrian GDP in netto terms, we can see that the private income actually compensates or overcompensates the public expenditure. So in fact, a large amount of the contribution of Austria to the EU budget is transferred to Central Europe, which improves infrastructure and business conditions there. So in fact, it helps Austrian and other countries' companies to earn profits and to prosper in the region.